Hello and welcome to part 3. Here comes my motivation to dive into the topic of decentralization. Currently, I am reading 1001 Nights and develop the visualization of my perspective. These stories were put together and wrote down about 500 years ago. First, I have to go under the patina of these tales and unmask the personification to understand what the animals and forces of nature stand for. Finally, most of the subject matter lies in the first millennium's human settled and developed agriculture. This process is hard to digest. There is a lot of violence, discrimination, and hierarchy. I have decided to think about decentralization to free up my mind. When it comes to finance, there are parallel dynamics according to storytelling and stereotypes in culture and religion. With financialization comes personification, and digging deeper, I am confronted with bear and bull markets. Decentralization is about empowerment. Although society, democratic societies, mostly divide power, but at least when it comes to capitalism, responsibility is transferred to a single entity. With capitalism as we know it for the last 50 years, there is not only monetization but financialization. The latter is an extension to capitalism that gives us instruments to secure monetization. Deciding what decentralization should, can, or must cover is not an easy one and depends on its purpose. Coming back to the healthcare company. This company does not exist yet. It is a visionary idea. For going for decentralization, you still have to fulfill local laws, such as wakes have to be paid in fiat currency. Although the country has one currency, in this particular case the company has to deal with 26 different healthcare laws in one country. The idea of decentralization is included with the administration within this company. An application can be created that registers patients, medical doctors, and nursery on a private blockchain for workflow and data administration. The idea to develop a decentralized framework might lead to add additional chains. With any of these technologies comes the byproduct data. The company is dedicated to improve healthcare. One major challenge in this field is monitoring. Maybe you heard of the Japanese management philosophy Kaizen. Monitoring is important because it contributes to the idea of continuous improvement. In this case, the data become the product. The cooperation is to share validated data. So there is a greater purpose. I'll go within brackets once again. I had organized an epidemiological library of medical studies just to learn how hard it is to digitalize and establish a structure in labeling these data. Furthermore, there was an attempt that a big tech company using machine learning algorithm screening medical studies published in medical journals and hilariously failed. Currently, another tech giant is working with an administrator of medical data to develop interoperability. Just recently, a board member of a major pharmaceutical company took a stand for regulation. It is costly to develop new medicine. It is costly to monitor and to accumulate data. In the dynamic space, as decentralization and its technology are in, any rule is made out of compromise. Regulations are made whenever there is a possible threat identified. Please consider any regulation without a serious cause can turn out to be peril as well, especially when it comes to data collection and privacy. Brackets closed. The framework of this company would be a candidate for monetization, as the product are data that can be defined as added value. I mentioned scalability earlier. With the creation of a multi-chain environment to establish an ecosystem comes tokenization and the outlook to create a coin. Even with altruistic motivation to share your medical data, even anonymously, for the good of science, there are developer costs and fees, gas, that you do not want to charge to the patient or the medical personnel. Forehand, these costs can be covered by savings, as the middleman is eliminated, and with time, by giving access to researchers and similar organizations. Finally, a rewarding model can be integrated. The more stable this ecosystem becomes, the more it adds value, and so to the coin. Ideas like this make me looking forward to a hope and fruitful future, giving all mankind access to quality of life and wealth that is worth it to be named like that. That's it, that's all. I hope you share my thoughts on decentralization as I'm going back to create my art. Goodbye.